Welcome to Inferential Thinking, our first lesson in inferential thinking, and it's something we'll be working on for the next week and a half or so. And by the end of today's lesson, our learning targets, students will make inferences about pictures. So we're going to look at some pictures today, and we're going to kind of think about, okay, what do we observe? What are we seeing? And then we're going to add to that some of our background knowledge, and we're going to come up with inferences. We're going to identify clues that support inferences. So why did you make those inferences? Why did you come to that conclusion? Why did you think about that? We're going to visualize actions and feelings based on pictures. And then we're going to use academic sentence frames to discuss strategies. So I'm going to give you kind of some sentence starters and how to discuss inferences that you have. Now, eventually, we're not going to need those sentence starters. But for the time being, as we're just learning how to inference and we're building upon our knowledge, we're going to start with those sentence starters. So let's go to our first activity. What can you infer or figure out about this image? Take some time, take in the image, and what do you think? What comes to mind with this when you look at this picture? All right, hopefully you're done and you've taken some time to kind of figure things out and you really started to come to an idea of what that image was, that picture was about. The question is, did you think of a 4th of July celebration? Because as we look back, okay, we have the fireworks. We have the fireworks. We have this red, white, and blue building, okay? And that's one of those things that we see on the 4th of July. Now, when you add up clues in the text, or in this case, a picture, with personal knowledge to understand what is happening, you are inferring. So if you inferred the 4th of July celebration, then that's you took what you knew about the 4th of July and that picture and you added them together to come up with that inference. All right. Now, when it comes to reading, when it comes to what we read and understanding what we read, the first thing we have to really understand is authors do not always tell readers everything, but they include clues that you can put together. And what we do as readers, and we do this all the time, is we put all these clues and we add them together to come up with some sort of conclusion. An inference is based on 1 or 2 clues in the text plus your background knowledge. Now, excuse me, in this case, it wasn't a text, we used a picture. And we're going to use a couple more pictures today. And we're going to look at, okay, what clues can we pull from this image to build an inference upon? To make an inference means to figure out something that is not directly stated in a text. And again, in this case, a picture. We are not, there's no caption on these pictures. There wasn't a caption on the 4th of July picture. If you're curious, that image was taken, that was a 4th of July celebration in Miami, and that's what that image is from. But not everything is said explicitly in a book. And what we tend to call it is reading between the lines and trying to figure out what is going on, okay? And making inferences helps you make sense of a text and think about what the author is communicating. And it's the author will hint at or will give clues, and you have to try and put those clues together. It's kind of like a detective as they try and solve a crime. You start piecing together information, and then you come up with an inference. Now, let's look at this image here. And the question is, how does she feel? Well, when I'm looking at this picture and I'm looking at the clues in the picture. And from these clues, this is what I infer, okay? My inference is that the girl is happy, okay? The clues that help me make this inference are she's smiling and her eyes look happy. Visualizing, so I'm thinking about this, I visualize a girl doing well on a school test to help me make that inference. Because when I think about when I hand out test grades and I see and when kids do well, they generally have a smile on their face. Oftentimes, if they do poorly, they don't have a smile on their face. They kind of get that grumpy face and things like that. But this, but I draw a picture in my mind to think about why a girl would look that way, and that's how I come up with the inference that she is happy. Now let's look at another one, and I want you to look at your handout because you have a picture that looks like this. And my question to you now is, how does she feel? So we're going to go over the kind of the sentence starters for you to kind of begin with. And the first one is my inferences, and then fill in that. The clues that make me make this inference are, and then finally, visualizing blank helped me make my inference. So why don't you pause the video right now and then fill this out and then restart the video and check and see what the book has to say or what I thought of. All right, so exact same slide, but we're going to add a little bit. So how does she feel? My inference is the girl is upset. Well, how did I come to that? What are the clues? The clues that help me make this inference are she has tears on her cheeks and she is covering her mouth like she is crying. And then finally, I'm thinking a picture of a girl getting some bad news, like her puppy was hit by a car, helped me make my inference. All right, so in closing, inferential thinking is adding up clues. It's taking what we read and we're adding to what we read personal knowledge of background knowledge, things that we already know, things that we've already experienced to further understand what is not being said. Because remember, the author doesn't always give you all the information and they don't come out and say things right away. Okay? Good readers know how to make inferences. And they make inferences all the time when they are reading both fiction and nonfiction texts. And going forward, today we just worked at looking at images and making inferences from images. Going forward, starting tomorrow, we're going to start reading some texts. And we're going to start putting together and creating inferences from texts. So thank you, and we'll talk in a bit.